the fact that he got a 10-minute misconduct was an absolute joke and just like the epitome of how bad the NHL playoffs have been.
It's either this or I'm golfing or the season's over. The second that people who argue about the Hall of Fame can realize that the Hall of Fame is like, the MLB especially, is the biggest joke in the entire world. Welcome to Gamblin and Ramblin, a weekly show where we react and rant about the weekend in sports betting. I'm Tim Kalinowski. I'm joined by Charlie DiSturco. You can follow us both in the Action app, Action YouTube channel, Action Network HQ on TikTok and Twitter. Charlie, nice to see you. We were in studio last week because I was at the darts. The darts, way better than the NHL playoffs, I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was... Well, first off, yes, the NHL playoffs has been absolutely horrendous, but I was a viewer from afar on this darts stuff because of you and your TikToks, and the environment that it was in made it like, I didn't realize that darts goes hard, like that fans go hard with the darts.
It's insane. It's literally insane. And like, I think everyone says, oh, you have to go overseas and like see it there because it's even crazier. And I'm like, this is pretty crazy here. And Leibov was like, no, there's no rules over there. Like you can do whatever you want. People just, the costumes, I think the biggest takeaway I had was biggest like barrier for entry is people don't understand how the scoring works. And once you like understand the scoring, it is addicting to just watch like darts and watch them figure it out.
Especially because like they don't miss. Like a lot of their, like obviously if they miss, it's like very small versus like if we're playing darts at a bar, like we're just shooting and just hoping it hits. Like I played darts with Hutton, like our producer, one time, and like I cooked him, and he was like talking shit the whole time, and I'm like, and I'm hitting him, and like obviously, you know, a few adult beverages go down, and you start just missing. But these guys are like on point. Like obviously that famous 9-darter that it didn't happen at MSG, but that happened. Like the crowd goes insane. Like it's an electric sport, and like these close matches are definitely a lot more entertaining than some of the other stuff we're seeing across the sports.
Well, yeah, and part of the thing is too, so they try and hit this like this one area of the board for like 180. That's like the highest you can get in one turn. But the problem is they have to land exactly on 501, and they have to double out. And usually that means you're aiming at a part of the board you don't normally aim at. So that's where they start to like choke, where you're like, oh, they don't miss. It's like, well, this guy never has to like throw here, so he just can't hit it. And that's when like someone can come back, like cornhole. So it is electric watching someone just like gag in real time. Speaking of gags, I interviewed the world #1 and got a darts lesson from him. He got upset in the first round by a 10-1 dog.
I saw there's a bunch of upsets, and I was like laughing because the guy you interviewed, I saw that he lost, and then I saw that there's another like pretty heavy favorite that lost, and Michael Van Gerwen ended up winning it, who's a piece. But like, yeah, I was on the Action Network was tweeting out obviously like all the upsets, so I was like paying close attention to darts for like the first time ever. I don't think I've ever paid attention to a darts tournament in my life, despite Leibov like always talking about betting it.
Leibov had me hooked, man. Leibov had me hooked. I didn't even bet. Like, I really only had a couple bets. I'm just like, I'm hooked on the darts, man. I'm hooked on this sport. It's just
the videos that you have, you can see Leibov just like going nuts in the background too. Like you could tell like it hits different for him. And it's like us, like me with like the New York Mets. It's like Leibov with like darts. Like the dude, it just it.
He loves it. It's so fun to be with him. And so while that was going on, NHL playoffs, I felt like I missed nothing because I missed game 1, watched game 2 last night, obviously. NBA playoffs, I thought, like, again, dude, joke's on us. We keep saying National Blowout Association, NBA delivering just night after night, and the things I love, the things I stand for, all suck.
Yeah, dude, at least the Heat winning. And that it's, you know what the problem is that it's never, I feel like, a good full 48-minute game at this point, and like usually we'll get like a bit and pieces of like actual good gameplay. And like the Heat in the fourth quarter could not miss a shot, but in the first 3 quarters they just did not look the part, and then Nuggets seem in control, and then obviously the whole script flips. That game at least was like half decent. Game 1 was a joke, and the NHL playoffs, like dude, that first off, that Tkachuk hit was the cleanest hit I've ever seen, and the fact that he got a 10-minute misconduct was an absolute joke, and just like the epitome of how bad the NHL playoffs have been, both from like a product and just like at this point a refereeing standpoint.
Dude, he's such a monster. I would literally give anything to root for that guy, like for real, on my team, instead of just like betting on the. He is such a fucking monster. Like, he's that guy that ran over Jack Eichel. He also had that same guy, Matthew Tkachuk. He also had like 109 points this year. Like, that is.
He was leading the NHL postseason in points entering last night. He gets that misconduct for laying the hammer on Jack Eichel, comes back, did he score a goal, and then gets another 10-minute misconduct. I was like, dude, this guy is electric. And like, now I want to bet the Panthers in Game 3 because like I just want to root for Tkachuk.
Well, for one thing is, I'm all in that it should not been 10-minute misconduct, but like they say that it was from afterwards, like him and Barbashev like fighting, and they just like, hey, get out of here, which I still hate, because it's like that Tkachuk play could have, changed the series if he doesn't have to go to the locker room for 10 minutes. Like, yeah, if he has to go out the next shift, or at least after 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and go fight someone immediately after, but that is something that could have snowballed. And the fact that the refs, again, it wasn't because of the hit, but the refs still put the kibosh on Tkachuk being around, which I think sucks. Like, it's
also annoying because like he lays this hit and then the whole Knights team goes at him. So what's he gonna do? Is he just gonna like take the hits to the face? No, he's gonna defend himself, because that's what you do. And hockey players don't just roll over and take hits and stuff like that. They dish it back out. So of course
it is the worst part of hockey right now, is a clean hit that incites like a full-on like riot. It was a clean hit, and Eichel said it after the game too. It could not have been cleaner. It was a classic situation. Any hockey player know this. Like, when you're already falling and already see the hit coming, and you're just like, I'm just gonna get hit by a truck right now.
I can't imagine the thought that Jack Eichel was going through as he's like falling, looks up, Tkachuk's like smiling, like ready to lay the hammer, and he's just like, oh shit. Like, and then
yeah.
It was
his face like biting on his mouth guard. You just look up and it's that animal fucking Matthew Tkachuk, and it's like, well, why was I carrying the puck through, the neutral zone in like a 7-1 game?
Oh my god, yeah, that hit was incredible. I was so pissed that was called a misconduct, or I guess the after events that happened ended up giving him the misconduct, because the game was like pretty solid to start. Obviously, the Vegas was controlling, but like you said, that's like a momentum shifting play. Like, you knock Eichel out for the time being, you have like a time to potentially shift momentum and score a goal, and then all of a sudden you're not looking at this like huge deficit, and instead Tkachuk gets sent off, and the Panthers were helpless.
Yeah, so I feel like the Panthers have been kind of towing the line here and trying to get the Panthers have been out of line in how they've been trying to get Vegas into the fight. And when they throw Tkachuk out or for 10 minutes, it's like, now you basically let Vegas off the hook and having the opportunity to come unraveled. Like, yeah, you just squashed it. And it's like, come on. Like, maybe Vegas, like if Tkachuk's back on the bench and nothing happens, maybe just 2 minutes, like Vegas could be off their game, because they're just like, we need to go kill this guy.
Yeah, no, it's, and also just like taking out the best player on the ice, arguably, of like the entire Cup Final for 10 minutes, like that matters in hockey. There's it does. 60 minutes. He was out for 10 minutes. Like, of course, like the best player on the ice is taking like a 10-minute leave because of something that was a clean hit, and then he just reacted to the Knights just beating up on him after that hit.
I have one more question on the series. We'll be done. So Game 3, I was on Line Change last night with Nick Martin and Leboff.
Oh, were you?
We were talking about Game 3 betting, and I was like, look, I know the NHL season is basically about to be over. So what I would like, for me, Game 3, it's like Panthers three-way, Panthers puck line, Panthers alt puck line, like same game parlay, because, and again, not slamming it, just like little crumbs, because at the end of the day, I can just be like, it's either this or I'm golfing or the season's over. Like, or I don't have to bet the NHL again till October.
I had the same thought process. I was like,
right?
There's gonna be a game where Hill's gonna erupt, or you think that he would like implode. So like, and then the Panthers just do it, and down 2-0 at home, which like if they lose this game,
it's
done.
over.
Like it's over. So you might as well just throw everything you want. You know what, Tim? I'm probably gonna ride with you. I think I'm gonna take like half unit on the money line and half unit on the puck line, half the unit on 2.5, and hope for the Panthers, like maybe like a Tkachuk goal. I mean, just parlay everything together. Go for a 10 for $7,000 parlay on just Panthers goal scorers.
and like, again, like I said, if not, it's like a farewell bet. If not, cool, summer. Like, if not, I can just be like, well, hockey sucks anyway. It's the off season.
Time for Rockies Pirates at 9:40 p.m. Eastern on weekdays.
Oh, don't even like say that. I can't even. Don't
Get
even
ready.
say that.
It's coming to the NBA. The NBA Finals have a handful of games left. The NHL playoffs has a handful of games left, and then all you have is baseball.
I basically will do anything to not bet a full MLB slate, because I just like can't do it. Like, I was betting college baseball all weekend.
Were you?
I was betting tennis. Like,
I tried to bet tennis too.
I will do anything to not have to bet a full MLB slate, because like that to me, it's like now it's like, I love summer, but now it's like, man, we do this for a while. Like, we do that for a long time.
Well, the WNBA is on. You can follow Kerner, beat the line by like 7 points when he gives out an under. We have to bet it literally the second he gives it out, or else
exactly. That's like a full-time job, dude. That's a full-time job. It's just like monitoring Kerner.
Yeah, well, yeah, Kerner, like literally, like there'll be like lines drop. Kerner logs a bet, and then I look at it, and it's like it was like the under last night. I don't even know if it hit, but like it was like 162, and then I looked and it was like 157, and I was like, that. I mean, 2 baskets in 2 minutes. It literally, the line moved down. I'm like, oh man. All right, I guess I'm betting baseball.
That's Nick Giffen in NASCAR now. Like, he won me so much money last year, but he's got such a following now that it's like, as soon as he's on something, it's like, boof, number's gone. I'm like,
yeah. I know. Dude. I didn't tail the McDowell top 10. I tailed Bowman. Bowman didn't get it. McDowell gets it, but McDowell, he bets it at like 11-1, and when I look, it's like 4 or 5-1, and I'm like, I don't even know if it's worth it at that point.
I still bet it. I always still bet
it. There you go.
He's such a like value monster. Like, no, I like it only to 9, and I'm like, dude, I like it to 5.
yeah. If it hits, it's paying for my next 5 NASCAR bets or 3 screwdrivers, Nick. So you let me know how that is value, because that is value.
Nick, you tell me 5-1 ain't value. Like, you're talking, I don't know what language you're speaking.
Yeah, that's always like during the touchdown stuff too. He's like the touchdown betting, like that he did the touchdown show. He's like I just don't find value in like X to X, and it's only like these like longer shots, and I'm like at a certain point, like, yes, it's value, but I like at a certain point, it's like Devontae Adams' birthday against the Packers, and like, of course he's gonna go for 3 touchdowns. Like, you know what I mean?
I add another like 50 cents to the line to basically handicap for the fact that if Nick hits it and I didn't take it because I got a bad line, I won't forgive myself. So like, you know, it's like I have an extra buffer. It's like, hey, he's like, plus 400. I like this down to plus 300, and I'm like, well, I like it to 250 because that's the tax that I give myself. That if you hit and I don't, I'll be pissed.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I do the same thing. I'm like, I'll especially like even like home run bets, if like something's not available and I see like there's one in the market at like BetMGM and I can't place more than $1.50 at BetMGM because I'm limited there. Like I'll be like, all right, screw it. I'll bet it to like a little bit less, or I'll throw like an extra 20 cents on like the bet, because then, or throwing an extra $3 on like Castellanos at home run, because at the end it ends up paying me out the same. But then if it doesn't hit, then I'm like, you know what? I forgot about it. I already placed it.
Exactly. That's the game you have to. That's like what you have to tell yourself. And speaking about betting, Wow, what a transition. Betting to betting. The Indianapolis Colts. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
First off, the fact that they called it a household name and then it was like this cornerback, I was fully expecting.
Who is it? Like I'm so
Isaiah Rodgers.
Yeah, Isaiah Rodgers Jr.
One of the basically, yeah, he was reported to have bet on like a shit ton of things, and is including his own games. So that's right. Like, I guess like the Iowa, Indiana.
Oh, games. He's Isaiah Rodgers Senior.
Wow. So that's a dad that's doing that. But he's betting on these games, in the Indiana Gaming Association, I believe it was, is the one that like caught him because he's. The first off, I don't understand how these athletes like are in team facilities using and betting on stuff. Like I like, and also just like why would you, for I don't know how much he was betting, but like even if it's like $5,000, are you really I'm surprised that he's risking so much just to like bet on a game when like it's clearly not a rule.
I think I agree with you, like directionally. Then it's like, dude, people break a lot of rules, like in life. Like, you know, it's like, it shouldn't. It's like, oh, it shouldn't be like more clear cut. All the talks that they get about gambling and integrity and this, and it's like, dude, really? Like, really? Like you know. I have a hard time with that too, but at the same time, like, guys, break rules. Like, rules get broken, and it's proof that the system works, right? Legalized gambling helps us track this stuff down. That's proof that the system works.
Right, because before that, there were probably athletes that were betting off the books that like could get away with doing stuff at an even more significant level, because the alleged, or I guess it's not alleged because he took ownership of it on Twitter last night. The news was him betting on his own team and then like other games that he had no, like he like to the point where like he couldn't like throw a game theoretically unless because he didn't bet against his team, so he wouldn't have thrown the game. But like it's just like pretty insane. I guess like the rules, it's nice that they're in place to then monitor this, because like if he had bet against the Colts and then like the game, and it was the game against the Vikings or the game against the Texans where like they had these insane
the Vikings game,
then that's a suspension for the rest of his life. Like he's done. At least like at this point they have the rules in place to like let you sit for a whole season. Now whether or not that's like a good punishment timeline compare, or whether or not like all of that's in place, but it's also like, dude, how many times have you been told you can't do this? And like, I know you signed. I worked for the Detroit Tigers back in 2020, and I'm a broadcast assistant seasonal intern. Got a note that said that I signed it that said that I was not allowed to bet on baseball. So like, the process is even so much so that it was like. Was that the hardest thing you ever?
Was that the hardest thing you ever had to sign in your life?
Yeah, I know. I had to be like, well, man, do I just like not take this job? I'm getting $10 an hour to work and not be able to gamble on baseball when I'm literally going to be at a game every day. Then COVID.
I wish I could sign something that said I can't bet on baseball. That'd be the best day of my life.
Yeah, then I was betting on like UFC and stuff. So I don't know if it was like a positive or a negative for me. But listen, like there's systems in place for this. It's just like my biggest thing. And this has nothing to do with Isaiah Rodgers Sr. and it has nothing to do with the NFL. Is I am of the belief that Pete Rose deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and I think that's like, and obviously it's a super controversial topic and one that like there's valid arguments to both sides. To me, he's the greatest hitter of all time, pure hitter, pound for pound. Maybe Luis Ariz now, but like the greatest hitter pound for pound, and. He never bet against his team or through games. And the majority of his stuff happened after his baseball career, which is what, like when he was a manager, which obviously still you're involved in the game and all of that. So I understand that. Like, I understand both arguments, but like, I just find it a hard time for Pete Rose to not be allowed in the Hall of Fame compared to some of the other people that we lit in the Hall of Fame that have super like negative things associated with them. Like if you go back in time, like Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb, they're pretty shitty people.
There's three things here. Okay. There's three things. Number one, the reason why when people are like, oh, but he never bet against his team, why shouldn't you be able to bet on your team? Okay. The days that you don't bet on your team, that is just as good as betting against your team. So saying, okay, I'm going to bet on us week 1. Oh, I know that all of our team is hurt and we had the stomach bug go through us. I'm going to not bet on us week 2. That is the same thing as betting against your team. That's knowing. That's a great point. That's knowing, okay, we don't have it. I'm just not going to, like, when you're either playing something or not playing something, that's like the same thing. You know, those things are of equal value. So him deciding when to bet on his team and that is just as important the times that he decides not to bet on his team. And that's furthermore with the Pete Rose thing. I don't know if I can tell you if Pete Rose threw games. I have no evidence. I'm not going through the Kennedy files of Pete Rose, but if he's a manager and he bets on his team and then 2 nights later, he knows the bullpen's shot, so he doesn't bet on his team, that's the issue. That's the problem. I think it almost be better if you could prove that Pete Rose bet on his team every single game than it would be to prove that he like minimally bet on his team.
And then how about this on just like this? Obviously, we don't know what Pete Rose bet on and what he didn't bet on, but would you be okay with players betting on their team's future, like a future to win the Super Bowl, but that's all they place?
That's actually kind of interesting, because
like at that point, because I honestly, like, I didn't even think about it in the context that you put it, where like them choosing to actively not bet on their team in a certain day, they obviously have that inside info, which is like extremely valid, and like I think that is even more of a like a big, it's a bigger issue in football where it's a short season and a lot more injuries come up versus like baseball. It's a long season and anything 162 and anything can happen. It like I like baseball. I think there's a little bit more leeway than like the NFL, where like if you know that your team is banged up and then you just don't bet on them, but then the next week they're fully healthy and it's like a raw spot and you bet on them. That there's an issue there.
But baseball too. Hey, I know our bullpen's shot. Like I know our starter didn't sleep last night. Like I'm either gonna play or not play.
Yeah,
like,
I mean a lot of it also comes into the managerial decisions. You're like, if he's gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna use our top of the arm starter in a 4-run game because I want to save him for tomorrow when I bet on them. Like that's when it becomes an issue. But and obviously that's the issue with gambling on sports when you're an athlete or a manager, is that like, first off, we don't know the games that you did or didn't bet on your team. Like I'm assuming the Indiana Gaming Association knows the what managers bet on, and like shout out to Better Collective, little under our umbrella Action Network, Sports Handle broke the news, and they were the ones that kind of came out with the information. So like great on them. Like I'm sure they have more information than we do because we're just two 25, 26-year-olds talking shop.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, but like it's an interesting topic, and like one that like needs to be had when these news breaks happen. Like I think you're allowed to bet on other sports, just not inside team facilities.
Correct.
But like, was it the guy in the Lions that got suspended a few years ago or a few months ago or weeks ago? I don't even know how long ago.
It was like a month ago.
He was betting in the team facility. And I was like, dude, how stupid do you have to be to bet on like the Lakers when you're like at work?
There's two sides to that though. One is, oh, dude, you really have to place it in the facility. You can't walk down the street. The other is, what's the difference if he walks down the street?
But it's one of those like we don't see it. But like, I agree. It's a super interesting topic, and like, my more gripe comes with the whole Pete Rose stuff. Like I have the I'm sorry I bet on baseball signed Pete Rose. Like
I have a Pete Rose jersey over there. Like
yeah, like
right over there.
He's the greatest hitter pound for pound. And obviously we didn't get to watch him, but like when you go back and watch highlights, but like his stats are like incredible. And it sucks to see that like he's not in the Hall of Fame. And like a guy like Barry Bonds isn't in the Hall of Fame, but that's a discussion for another day with the steroids. Like just like guys that like obviously made some bad decisions, but then you look at the crop of the Hall of Famers, and you can poke holes into so many guys that have such bad histories, whether it's like domestic violence or like other issues that like.
I know, but you know this though, you can't mess with the integrity of the game. And I'm not saying I care about the integrity of the game, but if you're the league, that's the only thing that's important to you.
But how
the only thing.
I don't want this to get, I guess, like, do we want to even get into the whole steroids aspect? Because like,
I think baseball, we're on the same team. We're on the same team.
I know, but like how many people in baseball took steroids back in the day when like there were ways around it and stuff? So many. So like we're gonna scarlet letter like a Barry Bonds when there's so many guys in the Hall of Fame that have taken steroids, and like it's come out plenty of times that like, and like all the rumors of guys taking it, and then we're gonna scarlet letter like Bonds or A-Rod.
The second that people who argue about the Hall of Fame can realize that the Hall of Fame is like, the MLB especially, is the biggest joke in the entire world. Like, it's not even worth arguing over. The fact that a group of writers decide who's in, who's not, based basically on who was nice to them back in the day, they've completely like squashed what it means to be in the Hall of Fame, as like too many people are in it and too many big names are not in it. Like, so for me, if I'm Pete Rose, I'm like, dude, screw your Hall of Fame. Like, this isn't even Hall of Fame anymore.
I agree. I mean, I agree. Like the MLB Hall of Fame is a joke, and like it sucks that it's a joke, because I think that like when you go to like the museum at Cooperstown, like it's sick, and like you can see so many cool artifacts of like, imagine if Bonds, A-Rod, Pete Rose, all these guys that were like unbelievable athletes and like arguably some of the best players that have ever touched the diamond, like they're just not in the Hall of Fame.
But they killed it. You know, you have guys like Mike Messina in the Hall of Fame. Like, are you serious right now? Like, they killed it. It's their own fault. Like, it's their own fault.
It's a shame. We'll get into like during the dog days of summer. We could talk.
We could do that in the summer. Yeah. No, I'm on the same side as you.
Yeah. It's more just, that also like goes hand in hand with like me with Pete Rose. I think Bonds being in the Hall of Fame, but it's obviously harder. And like, there's both sides of the story, and I understand both sides on why Pete Rose should or shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. When it comes to this NFL stuff, I'm on your side with this. Like, it's just like the integrity of the game, especially if you don't bet on your team. If you bet on your team, if it came out that Rodgers bet on his team every game, then it's like, all right, well, at least he didn't like.
That's my take, right?
Yeah, I agree that like if you bet on your team every game, at least you know that like, you know, you're right or
he's just for the boy. Like, he's just for the boys.
Yeah, you're losing like the Vikings game, and you're just spiraling on the sidelines as you lose $5,000 because your team blows a 24-point lead or whatever it was. Versus like not betting on a game and be like, well, I knew that one. Like, now, right?
Yeah, well, I was smart enough not to bet us today. Like, I knew we didn't have it. Like, I knew we were starting Ellinger.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a running back in there, a running back that's banged up, and we got Ellinger starting, so it's no Jonathan Taylor, we're gonna be screwed. So I'm not betting on us today. Like, it's just like, come on.
Oh, I mean, it's the truest point ever. I love when people are like, dude, they should be able to bet on their team. It's like, how about you listen up? Listen, what happens when he doesn't bet again on his team? What happens when he doesn't bet on them?
That's honestly a great point, because I think I've talked to like a handful of people about this, and no one's ever brought up the fact of like, if they don't bet on their team every single game of the season, like that is almost an issue in of itself of like the integrity stuff. No one ever thinks about that. They're just thinking, oh, well, the time that they bet on their team to win, they like were rooting on their team to win rather than like betting against them and throwing the game. And like, and if sports are rigged, you're dumb. So they
punch in a touchdown late, and he's like, I should have taken us this week, dude.
Dude, plus 10 was so free. Why did I do it?
And I passed because I thought we were injured.
Or like they're down 7, or they're up 7. The spread's like, or they're down they're up 10, spreads 4, and they're driving, and like it's garbage time. And you just see Isaiah Rogers or someone lay out a fucking huge hit, and it's like, yeah, it's the spread. It would be so funny, but like obviously it could never happen if imagine if everybody on every team had the spread. Listen, if I had the spread and I was playing in a game, I would be playing my heart out. Probably even a little bit more so.
Like the BC like point shaving, you're the guy to go to.
Yeah. You want +7, like put me in garbage time. I'll get us that extra touchdown. I'll push us over the edge. I'll cover.
You want to see a guy brick a 3? I'm your man.
Yeah, well, at least we can have some fun and some.
Yeah, well done. I think it was a good discussion.
Isaiah.
I think it was an educational discussion.
I think you come to Gamblin Ramblin for educational purposes.
Oh, of course. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Let's do it, Charlie. Let's have a good weekend. I'm hustling back upstairs here to watch more tennis because like I said, I'm terrified to just have only the MLB in my life.
Dude. All right, dude, actually real quick. Sorry, I don't mean to like cut you off on this. Tennis betting is not for me. You know me, I tilt like a lot. Bro, I can't watch a 5-set match. I watched Zverev yesterday. I had a -2.5. He won the first set 6-1. And then like at 2-2 when he gets broken and it's 3-2.
Yep.
And then he goes down 4-2. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. He was up 6-1. And then he ends up winning in straight sets. But let me tell you, Tim. The 5-set match and being like so into watching sports betting, it's not a good mixture for me.
The problem is the worst is when they know they're gonna lose a set and they just punt and they just like they're fine and you're like,
yeah, the spread be over. I got it. Or like the worst, or when you're up by a lot and the other person retires because of injury or like injury. And they just that's some sportsbooks pay it out, but some don't. Like
I know,
dude. Tennis opens a door for the max tilt, but baseball, all you have to deal with is bullpen blowups.
Yeah, that's fun. That's really fun. Yeah, great. Can't wait. All right. Be sure to follow Charlie in the Action app and on Twitter at Charlie DiSturco. Follow me at TimmyCal12 on Twitter, T Kalinowski in the app. Let's have a great weekend. Again, love the college baseball. Don't want just MLB in my life. NHL playoffs, wake up, will ya? NBA, National Blowout Association, not really. It's actually a pretty good league this year. Have a good weekend.